Thank you for tuning in to Awaken Her Now. And today I'm taking you somewhere special. Not just on a solo vacation, but back to a moment where I chose myself in a way that changed me. I took myself on a cruise alone for my 56th birthday on the Virgin Voyage. Thank you. Now listen, this wasn't my first solo trip. I have been to Aruba twice by myself and Miami Beach once, but this trip felt different. And that's because I was finally awakening to something new for me. I was finally at the point where I stopped waiting to live. I stopped feeling like I was traveling alone, and I started realizing I was finally meeting myself. So today I want to take you into that experience. Not just to show you the food, the drinks, the oceans, the vibes, but to share how awakening to your full self is so freeing. And I'm convinced that I'm not the only woman of a certain age who's waking up to more life, more self, and more freedom. There's likely a version of you who's ready to stop waiting on everybody else and start living too. And this solo cruise, especially on the Virgin Voyage, is everything I needed. And so if you are considering a solo cruise, I suggest the Virgin Voyage because they cater to the solo traveler. When I arrived at my room, they had a letter already waiting for me to let me know that they had special events and dining experiences lined up just for me and other solo travelers. They wanted me to know that I only had to be alone if I wanted to be. And I only wanted to be alone sometimes. I wanted to engage in the company of others while on this cruise too. And at that moment, I knew I had chosen the right cruise. Now, despite them taking good care of me, I must admit, there's a moment before every solo trip that I take where I question myself. Should I really be doing this? Is this safe? Am I going to feel lonely? But if I'm honest, these questions are not really about the trip. They are about our conditioning. You see, women are conditioned to feel a certain way about being solo because somewhere along the way, we are taught that life is meant to be experienced with someone, that joy is more valid when it is shared, that celebration requires company. But what happens when you stop outsourcing your joy? What happens when you trust that your life will unfold for you in the most beautiful and unexpected ways, even if you are alone? This trip was me answering those questions. And from the moment I stepped on this ship, I felt it. This wasn't like any cruise I had ever seen. The Virgin Voyage is an adult-only cruise line, and that means no kids, no chaos, just grown folk energy. And the vibe is luxury and freedom and just enough edge to remind you you are allowed to enjoy life. You are allowed to let your hair down and be free. And you don't have to care what anyone says or thinks while you're in the process. This cruise line caters to the grown and sexy, and I loved every minute of it. 5-star restaurants, beautiful spaces, music, energy, and the best part, I didn't have to check in with anybody. No waiting, no compromising, no, what do you want to do? Everything moved on my time. And let me tell you something. There is a level of peace that comes from being on your own time that most women have never experienced. This is where the hammock on my balcony paid off big time. Relaxing on a ship in a hammock while watching the waves roll by is the treat I didn't know I needed, but I did. And I took it all in. I was able to reflect, to check in with myself, and just be. This was real self-care, and I loved every waking moment. Being on your own time on vacation is underrated. I woke up whenever I wanted to, ate where I wanted to, and changed plans if I wanted without explaining myself to anyone. And this made me realize something real quick. I realized just how much of my life I've been living around other people's preferences. But no more. Prioritizing myself at the top of the list in my own life is my goal from here on out. And some may say that's selfish, but self first is the goal. And the only people who are mad about it are those who benefit from me being last on my own list. Listen, it's amazing what a little solitude and solo cruising will help you realize. See, this trip reminded me that freedom isn't just financial. Freedom is emotional. It's the ability to say, this is what I want, and lean 1000% all the way in. Now listen, I want to tell you about the food on this cruise because baby, this was not your typical cruise buffet situation. Virgin Voyage does it differently. Every meal was 10 out of 10. I'm talking about five-star restaurants, beautiful presentations, and intentional dining experiences. Not only was every morsel of food I tasted delicious, it was beautiful to look at. And the best part of it, I didn't have to adjust to someone else's taste. I sat down by myself, ordered exactly what I wanted, and enjoyed every bite. And instead of feeling awkward because I was alone, I felt powerful because I wasn't waiting to be accompanied. I was already complete. And the staff, they made me feel like their only goal was to cater to my every whim. They anticipated my needs. They went the extra mile to make me happy. And I just want every woman to feel this way. I want women to awaken to this kind of experience. Now, what's surprising about going on a solo cruise is all the people that you actually meet when you're on a solo cruise. And this is because you're more open. You're not tucked into your usual circle. You're not distracted. You're present. And people feel that energy. I met and had the most wonderful conversations, laughs, and moments with people I would have never met otherwise. And it reminded me, connection doesn't require attachment. You can meet people, enjoy them, and still belong to yourself. Solo travel to me is like having the best of both worlds. You have your me time and you have the time to meet and engage with others. That is, if you want to. Now, the highlight of this cruise, honey, was Scarlet Night. I was looking forward to it because it was all people talked about when I did the research for this cruise. And it did not disappoint. Scarlet Night was an experience, and I can't put into words, but trust me, it was like nothing I had experienced before. The entire ship turned red. The energy shifted, the music, the lights, the vibes, it was all like stepping into a different world. And I remember thinking, this is what it feels like to be fully awakened to your life. No overthinking, no hesitation, no wondering who's watching, just being, dancing, laughing, and living. And in that moment, I wasn't somebody's partner. I wasn't somebody's responsibility. I was just me. And that was enough. But listen, it wasn't just the fun, it was the quiet moments too. I mean, relaxing on my balcony in a hammock, watching the ocean, feeling the breeze, having a cocktail, eating good food, all of it was just amazing. Listen, there's just something about being alone in a beautiful place that makes you get real honest with yourself. You start hearing yourself again, your thoughts, your desires, your truth. And I had to admit something to myself. See, I had spent so much of my life tuned in to everybody else that I had to relearn how to listen to me. Solo travel will do that to you. Well, let me say that again. It will do that for you. It will bring you back to yourself, which is the best place in the world to be. This trip wasn't just a vacation, it was a mirror. It reminded me and it showed me how I used to live, how I used to hold back, how I used to believe I needed someone else to be full. And it gently but clearly reminded me that I don't, and you don't either. You don't have to wait to be chosen to choose yourself. You don't have to wait for company to experience joy. You don't have to wait for permission to live. That choice is yours. And now it's time to make it. Whatever your age, you get to decide what makes your life full and how to awaken to your most radiant self. So let me ask you something. Are you waiting? Waiting to do a solo vacation? Waiting to live fully? What are you waiting for? Because I know there's likely something you've waited long enough to do. There's a version of you who wants to explore, who wants to see the world, who wants to sit at a table and not feel awkward, but aligned. And maybe you've been telling yourself, I'll do it when I have someone. I'll do it when the timing is right, or I'll do it at some point. But what if this is your moment? What if the most awakened next level version of you is waiting on the other side of a decision that you need to make? A decision to go, to explore, to trust yourself. Listen, solo travel is not about being alone. It's about being with yourself without distraction. And there's a version of you that you cannot meet until you do that. So maybe, just maybe, it's time to awaken the solo traveler in you. Now, if this video spoke to you because you've always wanted to go on a solo vacation, but you've been afraid or hesitant, I want you to put that destination in the comments that you would go to if something wasn't holding you back. And then I want you to subscribe to this channel because it's never too late to awaken the most radiant version of yourself. I'll see you in the next video.